shitting their pants, but I didn't.
Okay, so how'd you get out of there?
Like I said, me and a buddy of mine walked to the Superdome, and we spent 2 hours waiting in line until we could get on an available bus. And they ended up trying to ship us to who knows where, but when we got to Dallas, there was a processing time that needed to be taken care of, which was basically they just wanted to make sure that whatever you stole they were going to get back and then arrest you if you did steal something. But to me it wasn't stealing, it was just a matter of survival. You know, I needed food, there was food sitting on the shelves, I took food, I ended up eating. You know, yeah, there was some other people doing crazier stuff, like stealing TVs and stockpiling them until later, after the storm when they came back. But I wasn't worried about that, I was just trying to survive, and so it took me 24 hours to get off the Greyhound bus because the bus driver would not let me get my stuff from underneath because I had to go through processing. But processing, like I said, just ended up turning out to be a whole situation of let's go through your stuff, see what you got that we don't like, and then either arrest you or take it and send you on your way.
Oh, the fucking
So
Greyhound.
after 24 hours, and the only reason why they had the Greyhound buses is because throughout the country, to correct George Bush's and FEMA's mistake, they had to figure out some way to get thousands of people out of New Orleans. And so they recruited Greyhounds, Trailway, any sort of large buses that they could get from all over the country. And it took them 5 days to do that and get some sort of assistance going on besides the National Guard hanging out with guns and threatening everybody to stay away from banks and gun shops.
So I was gonna ask, did they search you for weapons or drugs going into that Superdome?
No. But then again, I didn't let them. I didn't go through the line. I hopped over the fence when the National Guard was not looking because I knew I had things that they would take. And I did have a couple of weapons just because I had to protect myself.
Oh, fuck yeah, I was gonna ask you if you guys...
When other people had guns and they're shooting guns.
Yeah, I was
a real funny story. So, speaking of looting and...
Yeah, tell us something funny, bro.
So, I went to the Walgreens on day 3 after the storm, and at the time I had a little drug habit, so at the time I was looking for drugs, but my first thing when I went in the pharmacy was antibiotics, because like I said, I was wading around in water that was thigh high, and it was polluted, you know, and so I spent 2 hours going through the pharmacy and going through the Walgreens getting supplies, and I had these double-line trash bags full of stuff, and I go to unlock my bike, which was parked outside, chained up to a post, to a light post, and this guy was like, "Hey, you got a cigarette?" And so I gave him a cigarette. Then he's like, "Hey man, you know what, let me get a pack of cigarettes, I know you got some." And I was like, "No, I don't have packs of cigarettes, and at the same time, why don't you get in the store and go help yourself to whatever you want? It's free, you know?" And the guy decides that he's going to try to rob me and take my 2 hours worth of work and just take my stuff, you know? And so I said, "You know what, no." And this is a good thing, you know, even if you're a card player or not, but a good bluff, never let nobody know what you got, you know, until, you know. And so when he tried to take my stuff, I reached behind my back, and I was going for this regular carpenter's hammer, and as soon as I reached behind my back, he was like, no, it's all cool, man, it's all cool, we don't have to play like that, it's all good," and then walked away. Come to find out, if he would have known, all I had was a hammer, not a gun. So he thought I had a gun, and I bluffed his ass. And that's how I survived, pretty much, without any serious weapons besides a knife and a gun. I mean, and a hammer, excuse me.
Hey, you said a gun, man. I heard that.
So where
Little
did
Freudian slip there.
where did you go after that?
So when I convinced the bus driver to let me get my gear off the bottom of the bus and to let me be released, me and my buddy went underneath the interstate and drank one of the stolen bottles of Mad Dog that we had.
Mad Dog 2020.
Did a couple shots of the whiskey and smoked a cigarette and started hitchhiking down to Austin, where I had friends and my buddy had friends, and lived in Austin about a month, no, about 2 months, but mainly I was waiting on my FEMA loan, which I didn't realize was a loan until they wanted their money
that's
back
cold.
2 years later. I thought it was just assistance, but then they decided that they were gonna, they want their money back. And then when they realized that I didn't have any money to give them, they stopped sending me evil collection letters.
Okay, so you spent a lot of time in Austin, didn't you?
Throughout my life, yeah. But that particular time after Katrina, it was only about 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were strung out, weren't you?
Not after Katrina, because I spent 5 days basically DTing and kicking dope and alcohol because, well, no, I supported my alcoholism.
Oh, shit.
But the heroin definitely was cut out of my system. And by the time I got to Austin, I was good to go.
Alright, so now let's fast forward to the time where I ran into. Do you remember that?
Which time? We've known each other for over 20
With
years.
Jackie.
Oh, yeah. So after Katrina, just a real quick summary. I went to Virginia, house sitted at my mom's house. Went to Hawaii where I met my fiance, the love of my life so far. Met her and hung out on the Big Island in Hawaii for five months. But she had just gotten over divorce, wanted to come back to the mainland, so we came back to be with her kids. Didn't have much luck finding work in Oregon, so we decided that we were going to start heading east to where my family's from in Virginia. And in the process, we went up to Portland and then ran into you and Jackie, and you guys were heading towards Austin, so I decided to jump in the car with you guys, and which was very interesting, especially with your pet project at the time.
My pet project, by the way, was this dude with the Sisters of Mercy tattoo underneath his eyeball.
His first and
And
only
he
tattoo.
was 50 years old. And he was a junkie. So we picked him up.
No, you picked him up.
I picked him up. We made him ride in the back. And what happened? We took him to Maya's house.
Yeah, before we left Oregon and started heading south, we went to Astoria, and Maya, just a little background, Maya's property is family-owned property, like 50 acres. There's elk that come up right to the back door.
Wow.
It's a really beautiful area.
Yeah.
Maya was
beautiful.
working, she's a professional cook. She was working at a high-class restaurant in Astoria. And so she happened to bring home a bunch of leftovers. And, was sharing her leftovers with everybody. And your project at the time decided that, we were too fucking rich for his standards. And we were, we were not poor enough to be cool. But you know what? If you work for it, you can get what you want. And you know what? He was an asshole, and he basically got kicked the fuck off the property.
So what did we do with him after we kicked him off the property?
Took him to Portland, which he's lucky we took him to Portland, but put him right back at the Safeway where you found him.
The exact same spot.
That
The only
sounds
difference
like
is-
you.
Hopefully he got enlightened a little bit and realized that just because somebody's got a good job does not make them a snob or a fucking, too cool for school individual.
Well, see, the reason why I kidnapped him was because he said he wanted to get clean so he can go to LA and see his kid. So I was gonna help him kick. So I brought him to our friend's house in Astoria
Where
and
there was no
locked
drugs.
him up in a room
Where he could kick,
where he could kick.
and instead he decided to be rude and he got kicked out.
He got kicked out. Anyway, so further down the road, man, we're traveling back down to New Orleans, and we had it was me, Jackie, you, Whitney, and Nairobi, right?
Yeah, there was 5 of us and Jackie's dog.
Yeah, and the dog. I can't even remember its name. I hated that dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 8 years.
And I had Dayton with me.
Going on 9 years. Oh,
Yes,
yeah, and I forgot.
so-
I'm sorry, I forgot about Mr. Dayton.
I don't really try to remember dog names. I don't put dog names on priority like people names. I let it go.
Well, most dogs are cooler than most people, so I remember good dogs' names.
By the way, speaking of good dogs,
Yeah,
Oh,
new edition
Hooper.
Hoop DeVille. So
The cockroach hunter.
what did we do the whole time we were traveling back to New Orleans?
We took pit stops every hour. Every 8 hours, as long as it was a city where we can cop dope, and got some dope, got some booze. Every once in a while, smoke. Oh, you got Nairobi to smoke some crack for one of the first times and only times I've seen Nairobi smoke crack.
Yes, I did.
In this very same city, in the Tenderloin.
Yep.
Were you guys had a bankroll or we got hustling on the way?
No.
We had girls.
Well, we had a girl that would not use her dog, her little puppy dog, to fucking panhandle until we got to Emeryville, and then she realized she made fucking $80 and decided, oh, you know what? I'm taking my dog out from now on.
Basically, what we would do was the girl, Jackie, would fly a sign at the corner, and we would all run a gas can. You know, I don't know if y'all know about a gas can, but I'm gonna tell you.
Define a gas can.
You go up to people's cars and you say, hey, check
You
this
go
out.
up with an empty gas can.
I am trying to make it to wherever you're trying to make it to, and I need a gallon of gas. I'll wash your windows. And more than likely, people will fill up your tank and give you cash. So we would sit
And Ed
in
would
the
not
car.
wash their windows.
No.
Which I thought was messed up. Like, I'd go and take his back and wash the windows for him.
Yeah, he would end up washing our windows.
It's so easy to watch.
I know. But this is how lazy he was at the time. Oh.
No, that's how sadistic I am. Anyways, so we would sit in the car and drink the whole time, passing
No, you would sit in the car and drink while we all hustled.
We would all take turns hustling.
Oh, no. Whitney would go to one corner. Jackie would go to another corner. They'd fly a sign. They'd make the majority of the money. You'd